Hello class 12. Today I am starting with a topic known as transnational companies. In short, we call it as TNCs. Now these are business enterprises having manufacturing, sales or service subsidiaries in one or more foreign countries. So from the name itself we can understand that transnational companies means definitely those enterprises, those companies which are internationally related and connected to each other. Now TNCs account for the largest part of global economic activity and are the main entities responsible for the global environment crisis. Because this is a very vast concept of transnational companies, and because it is a global activity, so definitely they are responsible for the environmental problems globally all over the world. So this is the definition of transnational companies. Now we have to know what are the ecological impact of TNCs. First, you see, these are responsible for more than 50% greenhouse gases emitted by the industries, thus leading to global warming. I hope students greenhouse gases are CO2, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide. So those gases leads to global warming, especially CO2. They are mainly concerned with production and use of CFCs. CFC, I hope this also chlorofluorocarbons and are other related compounds that leads to ozone depletion. Next, they are responsible for accelerated use of non-renewable resources. They manufacture most of the world's chlorine. Students, that chlorine is very, very harmful, and it is also needed for the manufacturing of various kinds of pesticides, including DDT. DDT nowadays it is a banned product. So definitely chlorine is manufactured by most of the transnational companies, and that is very, very harmful for the environment. They contribute to depletion or degradation of forests, water and marine resources, because when they need natural resources as their raw materials, then definitely they are degrading these natural resources. They also promote a culture of unsustainable consumption. By their promotion of their products, they promote a culture of unsustainable consumption. Unsustainable means when we consume everything without thinking the future generations' necessities. When we consume everything without leaving anything more extra for the future generations, then it is unsustainable consumption. Since Rio Summit, the process of liberalization, commercialization and globalization have helped in the expansion of transnational companies and led to a negative impact on the environment. Okay. So students, from these transnational companies, I have given a very brief idea, because in your syllabus it has been given in a very brief way that you have to know the definition, what are TNCs, and you have to know the ecological impact of these TNCs, how it is affecting the environment, and how TNCs are responsible for the environmental problems. Okay. Now we'll move to our next topic, that is toxic waste trade. Now, post-industrial revolution, the use of hazardous substances increased to a great extent. One of the most common methods of waste disposal has been incineration. Incineration means burning of the waste or dumping the waste. Okay. Most of the wastes are corrosive, explosive, or poisonous in nature. The trade in toxic wastes was made easy by the bilateral trade agreements, which included wastes as goods. When this activity was revealed, there was an international outrage which culminated into the drafting and adoption of the Basel Convention. So students, you can understand that this toxic waste trade is actually an illegal process, illegal activity. But when they are being done in the name of goods, and when this activity was revealed to the society, then there was an international outrage, an outburst of the opinions of various countries, and then it culminated into the adoption of a convention known as Basel Convention. Now, what were the key provisions of this Basel Convention that we need to know? First point, prohibition of trade in hazardous waste between parties to the convention and the non-parties. Minimizing the transboundary movement of hazardous waste. Ensuring that the right to ban import of hazardous waste is enforced. Movement of waste be allowed only where the exporting country does not have the facility to dispose the waste. In case of trade of hazardous waste, it must be based on the prior informed consent procedure and conducted in accordance with the principles of ESM. So, with this Basel Convention, the primary provision was that hazardous waste cannot be traded. It cannot be imported to other countries. But if it is necessary to do that, suppose if a country which is a developing country, which is a poor country, they don't have that much of facility to dump the waste, to dispose the waste products, in that case the hazardous wastes can be traded to other countries, can be imported to other countries, but that also with a prior consent, prior informed consent from the directorial body. Clear? Another convention is Bamako Convention. Now, their objectives are to safeguard the environment and protect human beings from the adverse effects of the toxic waste trade and try to minimize the quantity and potency of the waste generated. So, their objective was mainly the environmental solution, the solution which will lead to the safeguard of the environment, right? It seeks to ban the import of hazardous waste into Africa, especially to Africa. Okay. Now, what were the impacts of hazardous waste? It may pollute soil, air, surface water and underground water. The non-degradable toxic waste can enter the food chain and biomagnify and affects human beings, because you know the non-biodegradable waste products, they cannot mix up with the soil or water again, and because of that they can enter the food chain through the water runoffs into the ocean, seas, ponds or lakes, and they biomagnify themselves. That means they magnify themselves in quantity and can enter the food chain of human beings and affects the human beings indirectly. Evaporation of toxic solvents from paints and cleaning agents that causes pollution, you know, especially the aerosol sprays, they lead to ozone depletion. So definitely this is another impact. The polluted air causes diseases like respiratory disorders, especially lungs are affected by this air pollution. Pollutants causes eutrophication, which reduces the quantity of dissolved oxygen and causes the death of aquatic animals and plants. So eutrophication means it is the multiplication of algae in a water body, which leads to the deficiency of oxygen in that particular water body, which in turn causes death of the aquatic animals and plants, because the algae, they respire and they use up all the oxygen and they cause the deficiency of the oxygen in that particular water body. This particular phenomenon is known as eutrophication. The water that is much polluted they can show this eutrophication process. Okay, so these are the points which you need to remember. You can jot it down from my video. And students, I think previously I have finished off with 4 topics: Amazonia, free trade, protectionism, case study of aquaculture. I hope with that you have completed your studies in those portions, and also globalization. So along with that, today I have completed transnational companies and toxic waste trade. So actually these are the parts of the single chapter. We're going through a single chapter. You know, the syllabus is a very big syllabus and we need to go through them very thoroughly, but I'm trying to be very brief in that respect. So you please go through the notes which I am giving you. You can go through your books also, but notes also you have to follow so that you can get a brief gist of the particular topic. And if you have any problem, you can ask me in the comment box and jot it down from my video. Thank you.